Hello ranchers, hi and welcome to the RanchCast. We are back after lots and lots of fun delays because, life. So where have I been? Quite frankly, I moved over to the Ranchers Consulting Org. I think I mentioned that last time, which meant I was in California, and then I came home, and then my 17-year-old cat decided to go into kidney failure, which just means that he's now on, fluid several times a day, and we'll live a year or a month or 2 days. We have no idea, and they have no idea, but we're enjoying the time with 17-year-old Buddy Holly that we can. So that being said, let's get started with the RanchCast. You'll notice I've added some music to the background to try to make this, a little more entertaining. It's all hopefully non-copyright. I found a playlist that should do that, making sure to give credit where credit's due down in the corner. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, well, let me know. So if you'd like to join us today, you can always join us on our Slack channel. Go to slack.rancher.io, enter your email address. You'll get an invite to our Rancher User Slack channel. And here in the Rancher User Slack channel, it's just the RanchCast. So, join us on the channel, send messages. I get notifications. I won't notice them right away because I may not hear them, or I may hear them. We'll see. As always, more resources. If you'd like to keep in touch, follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Jason Van Brackle. I tweet regularly about DevOps, about Kubernetes, some Rancher stuff, retweets that marketing says I should retweet and seem relatively useful, so I send those as well. And then things I'm working on, updates about when the RanchCast will be or not be, as has been the case recently. So I'm glad to have you all today. And let's go with other resources. So we are multi-broadcast. We are broadcasting to YouTube, to Twitch, and to Mixer. So most people follow on Twitch, some on YouTube, some on Mixer, and really that's whatever your corporate firewall decides to block. If you're in South Florida this weekend, I will be speaking at the South Florida Developer Conference. This is a great conference. I've been going to this conference on and off for the last 6 or 7 years now. I love this conference. It's a polyglot conference. It was started by a .NET meetup and has now become much broader to include non-Microsoft topics, things like Kubernetes, for example. I'm talking about Kubernetes, go figure. But it's a great conference. It's one of the few out there that is still, meetup organized, not run by Microsoft or CNCF or some other larger organization. And it's just a great conference all around. If you'd like tickets, hit up Eventbrite. It's right there. And that's where I'll be this weekend. If, for some reason, you miss an episode or you want to see other things that Rancher has done, well, the RanchCast episodes will not be on the Rancher YouTube channel, but I do want to highlight this because lots and lots of good free content is out here. And then, as always, if you miss an episode, youtube.com/theranchcast. And there's a really, really handsome picture of me blinking. Awesome. Good job, YouTube. And as always, you can go to rancher.com/training to get into our master classes, our online meetups, all of which are free. So let's get started today. If you don't have the code that we've been working on forever now, it's not really forever, but since like the summer, you can go to github.com/Jason Van Brackle/cattle drive. Why cattle drive? Because it was one of the few names that was not taken by some other Rancher project. Actually, so I have to update the topic too, because it should be into 2020. So this is a Azure-based reference architecture for running Rancher and Kubernetes together that is all automated via Terraform. So we're chopping off a piece at a time together, learning as we go. I am by no means an expert in Azure or Terraform. I have lots of experience in both. I would not claim to be an expert, but I don't claim to be an expert in most anything. It's just my nature. I think there's always room for learning and always room for improvement. And I'll be doing lots of sips of coffee. I'm going to do one quick audio check for live because I've changed some things around. And can I hear myself? That would mean I have to unmute it. Yep. Awesome. I can hear myself. You can hear me. There's background music. We're good. All right. So let's get started with Cattle Drive for today. If you haven't yet, feel free to decode or download. If you want to see what's in here, go to the past episodes. I've talked about just about everything we've built, except for one monster break in between where I updated everything in the modules and confused the hell out of a bunch of regular listeners. So I already have it here in code, and everything gets run by our Automate SH. And today we're going to look at Azure Key Vault. So there's a couple things we have to think about here. And what we're doing is we're going to use Azure Key Vault as the encryption mechanism for Kubernetes. So let's start with some documentation, help you find out where these things are. So we want to encrypt using a KVM. Fortunately, I've done this reading, so it's all in my history. And there might be a before. Yep, we want the understanding encryption at rest document. So let's get started here. We want to encrypt data at rest. So by default, etcd in the back end of Kubernetes. So for those of you, I will actually back up just a little bit more because we like to teach things visually. So this is a great document. It's called Concepts Underlying the Cloud Control Manager, and it shows what is Kubernetes physically and conceptually speaking. What we're concerned about here is etcd. This is our high-speed key value store / brain of Kubernetes. If it dies, all is lost. But it runs as a distributed key value store, which means it needs odd numbers for quorum and does master-child selection of replicas of the database and replicates data throughout. It is built for speed. It is not built for resiliency, so it will die occasionally. But the default here, if you don't change it otherwise, is to not encrypt, which means if somebody gets access to your etcd, they have access to the world. So let's talk about encrypting data at rest, and we'll walk through the documentation a little bit as we go here. So we have to, in the kube API server, turn on the argument encryption provider config. Now, your AKS, your EKS, your GKE, I didn't have to check RKE, should set this by default with one of these like AES CBC keys where it generates keys for you. And this is great. This is great until the machine where etcd is compromised. So it's better than etcd unencrypted, because that means etcd unencrypted is if I can get to the etcd endpoint, I can get the data out. etcd encrypted means that there is Kubernetes in the middle encrypting things for us, which is a good thing. But if I can get to the machine, I can encrypt a little bit further. So what we're going to do is we want to use Azure Key Value Store, and we want to use it as a KMS for Kubernetes. We're going to use this KMS value, the strongest, fast way of doing it, and we're going to configure a KMS provider. In this case, we're going to configure the Azure KMS provider. So there are essentially two ways of using Azure KMS with Kubernetes or a Key Vault with Kubernetes. You can use it in this case as to help us with etcd encryption. There's also an Azure Key Vault Flex volume. So it allows us actually to mount volumes that are encrypted, Azure Key Vault stores, which we'll also tackle maybe in a later episode. So that's our goal. Is we want to have etcd encrypted at rest via automation. So to encrypt that data, we can verify. We'll come back here for verification that our data is encrypted when we do it. And then configure the KMS provider. We'll do that as well. So KMS provider, and I'll point you to one other talk. This talk is excellent by Seth Vargo over at Google. It's from FOSDEM 2019. It's base 64 is not encryption. I stole the term encryption from him. If people hear me say encryption, he's the source. He may have stolen from somebody else. I have no idea. I think he coined the term. I think it's an awesome term. The etcd by default, is encoded and unencrypted or encrypted. But yes, go watch that. That gives us a summary of what we're trying to accomplish and why we're trying to accomplish it. We may also attack this with a Vault KMS for on-prem as well. I've had a lot of interest around that. The thing is that the plugin has changed. So originally there was a KMS plugin for Vault that was written by Oracle. It was not up to date, and I reached out to the developer and I said, hey, where is this thing? And he said, oh, I don't work for Oracle anymore. You'd have to ask them. And then a day later, the official Vault connectivity for Kubernetes came out, which was kind of cool. But yeah, go watch the talk. The talk is excellent. So we have to find our KMS provider so that we can encrypt the rest. And we're going to grab... I thought there was a link to KMS providers in here. There may not be. KMS plugin. You know what? We'll use our search engine. Azure Kubernetes KMS. This is the one I want. Good. Now, the README is designed around AKS engine. For those of you who don't know, AKS engine is the open source project behind AKS. It's actually a really cool project. If I weren't working for Rancher and buried in RKE every day, and I were just dealing with Azure, I'm not just dealing with Azure, but if I were just dealing with Azure, I'd probably lean on AKS engine quite a bit because they look to integrate all these technologies. So it's not actually a prerequisite because we're going to do a manual install. So here in the documentation for Azure KMS, we're going to go to the manual install document and open that here. Now, as I mentioned, there's also the Azure Flex volume, Azure Key Vault. And I just want to differentiate the two because they are two different things. And we'll probably tackle this one at a later time. But this essentially allows us to use Azure Key Vault to do secrets and configs and store actual variables as well. So that'll be an interesting thing to go dive into at a later time. So let's open up our code window for today. I always, of course, track what we're doing today and any mistakes I make. I make lots of them. And today's episode, we are automating Azure Key Vault as a KMS plugin, as KMS for etcd encryption in Kubernetes. So this is not to be confused also with the Vault work that I want to do around, what was I thinking? The Vault work that I want to do, around my local variable passwords, things of that nature. Because what I want is my variables in Terraform to be fed by my secure key value store so that the automation can be run without the user having to know what the passwords are, which is what I'm going for. Excuse my phone. It's going off the hook. I'm just making sure there's no emergencies. No emergencies. All right. There we go. Muting that. So, Key Vault, V-A-U-L-T. I will misspell it every time I type it today. It's just, my muscle memory is wrong here. And then we have some links. So we'll grab encrypting data at rest. We'll grab, and this is always a useful exercise as you're learning something new, to go ahead and keep your links so that when you go to teach somebody else, you have them. I actually pre-planned some of this and had the links, but I couldn't find my document and it wasn't in GitHub, which is really unlike me. But it has been kind of an insane couple of weeks between travel and my cat and all of that. So those of you who have, actually, I don't think he's ever graced himself on a live video. He does like to interrupt conference calls. So my cat buddy Holly, I've had for about as long as I've been married. My wife and I have hit 17 years of marriage. He's about 17 years old, and we've had him pretty much since the beginning. And he is the best pet I've ever had. Not just the best cat, the best pet. I've had dogs and cats. I have a dog now as well. But he's sociable and friendly and likes kids. and doesn't get bothered by toddlers chasing him around. He plays Pied Piper with them. It's kind of fun to watch. So here we are, concepts underlying the controller manager. And we have our Azure KMS plugin. So this is the Azure, okay. We'll go about an hour today, give or take. I'm like I said, traveling to Florida tomorrow. Have some meetings I have to prep for in the consulting world, and want to make sure that all those things get done. But I didn't want to ignore you all, because I've had to bump the last several weeks of RanchCast because consulting and just life. And I'm going to try next week, because next week I'm actually on client site in California. Hopefully nowhere near coronavirus, but I'll be there. My goal is to, in the evenings, do short RanchCasts. So continuing this topic in the evenings, probably after I'm done work for the day, Pacific time. So I'll be on site from like 9 to 4. I'll be walking distance from the office because I like to walk everywhere when I travel, even in the rain. And then the plan will be to be online from 5-ish till 6-ish Pacific time, and then go get dinner and sleep. When I'm out on the West Coast for a week or less, I try to keep myself on Easter time, just because when I get back, I like to be useful to my kids. So I tend to go to bed around 8 p.m. Pacific, up by 3 a.m. Pacific, just as to not mess up my clock too much. Circadian rhythm still tends to mess up my clock a little bit, but not as much as if I go full-blown West Coast time. And then we're going to run through a manual install. Azure Key Vault. Install. Oh, and since every other streamer does it, if you like this, click the like button in YouTube. Ring the bell. That's the new one. All the gamer streams are saying. I do follow a few gamer streams because I don't have the free time to play myself. Though my kids are trying to talk me into gamer streaming since I do this. They're like, "Hey, Dad, you know how to stream." So you may see some of that from me, probably on a personal channel, not on the RanchCast. All right, Azure Key Vault install, and then we want this for a later episode. Azure Key Vault Flex Volume. Now I will try to explain everything as I go. I've only recently started playing around with Azure Key Vault. Most of my experience in the in the secrets management space is, HashiCorp Vault, things of that nature. It's stupid easy. It's one of those to go. Shout out to my friends at HashiCorp. Y'all make stupid easy stuff. It just works so well. It's so approachable from a cloud architect having to do all the things and learn all the things perspective. So manual configuration. Assume you already have a Kubernetes cluster. Create a key vault and a storage account in the same resource group as our Kubernetes cluster. Oh, I probably don't have my Kubernetes cluster up. It's been a while. So let's check. If you haven't already, go get Microsoft Terminal if you're a Windows user. So Microsoft Terminal allows us to integrate all of our different environments into one look and view. I live here. I've spent the last several years in an Ubuntu box, and I've flipped back and forth. My first Linux distro was Slackware 2, I think. I bought the disc at a computer show down in Maryland. Back when I had no idea what I was doing with software or operating systems. I was a kid who liked to build computers and play computer games, and got into software development because the game broke. Actually, it was American Gladiators, probably by Game Tech. The game had a bug in it. I'm like, I gotta be able to fix this. Never fixed it. I probably could now. I have the skills to fix it, but I don't think I have the discs anymore. But I went to the library and I said, hey, I need to learn how to build software. They handed me a book on QBasic. That didn't help. And so I realized, okay, I don't know enough. So I bought Learn C in 24 days or 21 days, 24 hours, one of those books, and started learning C. Still didn't know what I was doing. Just knew I was starting to write good Hello World programs, and just continue to learn to program. Built some calculator games back in high school. Just to give you an idea, I'm 40, so you know, TI-83, TI-85 were, you know, my computers of choice in school, you know, as well as whatever else we were using. And then went to school first for engineering and later for computer science because I figured out I didn't like engineering. But that just made me a Linux guy and a Windows guy and a Mac guy and a Raspberry Pi guy and a what's the other one? My favorite is one that's not the company isn't even around more, is Kickstarter. And I'm blanking on the name. I have the unit upstairs. I'll do a live stream on that sometime. It's a really cool unit. The Pocket chip. So even smaller than Raspberry Pi, but has like a Game Boy like case around it. So cool. But my ADHD is just roaring today, as you can tell. So go grab Microsoft Terminal. We already have our Ubuntu box set up. Let's get into Cattle Drive. Cattle Drive and my Terraform modules. And we're just going to turn off CodePS1 because I'm not even talking to that right now. Good. That should be all set up to go to just launch our cluster. So we're going to start by launching our cluster. Let's log into Azure first. I still haven't automated the let's use a service principal to do all the things part because I need the key vault to do that. So I need an active session. I'm going to log in. My code. Come on. There we go. And Rancher. All right, we're in. So we're now into our Azure account. We can do a Terraform plan. Now, I have my automate script to do this via audit to actually automate all this, but we actually want to enjoy watching it run. Terraform plan. So it's going to do all the Azure things. The question is, hopefully the key vault is just empty right now. Oh, I don't want that right now. Because we're going to actually build that as we go. So we're going to do that, that, and that. And then we're going to run it. It's a good thing I'm half paying attention. Oh, that's kind of small. Let's blow this up. Let's see, how's that looking? Well, I'm just looking on my side screen. I'm going to make this thing full screen. Can't make it full screen. It's restream. I'm going to look. I'm on my other screen. I'm looking at Mixer or Twitch right now. I just want to make sure that it's large enough for you all to see at full screen. All right, that looks good. Good. Large enough. All right, so 4 later episode. Oh, and I want these spaces. My mouse is going. It's driving me crazy. It keeps double clicking when I want to just click. All right. Spaces 1, that's not going to help me. Using spaces, and 2, and we're going to do markdown and just tell it's markdown. Thank you. That's what I want to see. All right, so we're automating other things. It's fine. Oh, I don't need my notes yet. We'll call it Cattle Drive. I'm just save it right here. Show notes. Good. And that's a, well, yeah. Of course, it's not going to work right. Ooh, that's ugly. Let's try that again. Oh, this should be bigger. Do I know how to make this bigger? Hey, look at Control Plus. It's so intuitive, I love it. Well, that's fun. See, I have multiple drinks. I have my caffeine and sugar. And my hydration. Not vodka yet. So this is one of the gotchas with Terraform I need to figure out here. You see this thing up here? I like to auto-generate things like passwords for this, but it puts it right in the logs. So I'm gonna have to filter and mask it at some point, or figure some way to, other way to do it in Terraform that I'm doing wrong. Oh, I have a state file. That's why it's failing. There is no cluster there. Thank you. That's what's going on. So part of my automated script actually clears out any junk from earlier runs. Like that. So let's do that first. There we go. And then, you know, I haven't checked to see if I'm actually using the proper RKE plugin. I don't think I am yet. We have a proper RKE plugin now. I'll check it later. We'll make that to do for later on. Let's put the to-dos here. Because I was using the open source one that was not Rancher guided, and then the main organizer of that repository asked for help, and we came along and he said, take it over, and we're like, awesome. Actually, there was some conversations back and forth. So we wanted to take over, and then everybody in consulting and field engineering said, we're already using it, we might as well. Check RKE provider version. There we go. All right. So we're now we'll Terraform plan. And we shouldn't have it. That you can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. But Terraform plan. Getting used to having my extra graphics and stuff on here. This'll you know, change and be modified as I add more features to streaming. So if you're a Mixer user, my stats tell me I don't have many Mixer users. I'm considering getting rid of Mixer altogether. If you must have Mixer, please tell me. Because I'm like, I'm just about to get rid of it and just keep YouTube and Twitch. Just to focus on those two platforms. Oh, and this is so much better. This is what I'm expecting to see, not spit out a ton of errors. So I'll give that a minute to refresh its state. We want to start thinking about this key vault. So here's our list of things that need to be done. That's our to-do for later. Let's have our steps. So 1, we need to log in to Azure. 2, we'll need to automate the creation of a key vault where the cluster is. So we'll do that in the resource group for the Kubernetes cluster. All right. So that after we do that, we'll reconfigure. We'll reconfigure the RKE clusters to use the Azure Canvas plugin. It's probably an install step. Did that look good? Oh, good. All adds, no erases. And we'll let that work run in the background while we're going. I'm gonna put this right about there. That should not. There. That should keep it from going there. And we'll do the same with code. So fortunately, I left OBS open to my right behind the camera so I can see it. So I know where this is really there. That way I have a rough idea of where these windows are. Yeah, we're gonna do that, are we? No, I don't want it docked. Oh, I'm not so smart. That's okay. We'll do that, and I'll just be careful to avoid typing in the bottom of the screen. So we want to configure, we'll just keep KMS plugin. We're going to, let's see, group. We'll need a storage account, a key vault, and a policy. All right. We'll need a storage account. For the key vault. I told you every time. We want to automate the key vault. Now, I'm going to note to do for later. We want to lock. You know what, maybe we'll do it now. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided whether I want a specific service principal that we have to use to talk to the key vault that we'd have to integrate in with our Kubernetes RBAC, or if I just want the service principal Kubernetes is running as. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. That's simpler. Because we're not doing the whole flex volume thing yet. So storage account, your SPN client ID. All right. I'm guessing SPN in this case is service principal. Then we're going to update Etsy Kubernetes. That'll be fun. Because that'll be our provider config. Is that the provider config? Let's find out what this is. By ACS. I wonder if this is the... Oh, I wonder if this is how the Cloud Control Manager is configured. Store Azure Credential API. Yep. For the Azure Cloud Provider. So this Azure.json is likely the configuration for the Cloud Control Manager. So going back to our concepts, the way this works is the Cloud Controller Manager talks to the cloud to create storage, to talk to storage, to create load balancer services, things of that nature. It probably, and I'm betting integration with Cluster API, since Cluster API is still on Alpha. I haven't spent a whole lot of time with it, but this cloud connector is the configuration between the two. In Azure, that's a service principal. I'm betting it's that Azure JSON file that gets set up. And which means we're going to have to figure out the RKE way of doing that. We get to find out if RKE can even do that. All right, one step at a time. We're about half an hour. So I will make sure that if we do, I mean, it's not going to happen in an hour, but it'll happen over a couple hours as we're going. Oh, yes. Yes. Please do all these actions. I'm expecting you to do them. I'm just gonna make sure this thing starts running before we go. I'm kind of disappointed. I'm making far fewer mistakes than usual. I'm working on the video for for new users coming to the RanchCast, and I think it's just gonna be a supercut of all the times that I make mistakes, because that's part of the fun. All right, this is all doing as I would expect. Good. And good. So first things first, KMS plugin. We want to go back to our manual install. So we assume you are in a cluster that's being created. Create a key vault and a storage account in the same resource group as your Kubernetes cluster. So we have two clusters in play right now. We have the RKE cluster that Rancher is using. We also have the RKE cluster that is being managed by Rancher, that is created as part of. Actually, is it created with this script? Yeah, we do create one with this script. I had to think about it. I've written so much Terraform over the last couple of weeks that I couldn't remember one from the other. So we already have, so we'll have an existing cluster. We'll have a resource group, which will have a location. Good. So we'll need to go into that group, create a storage account, create a key vault, and set the policy. All right. I think we have all the things to start doing the Terraform for that. So let's go to our handy dandy docs for Terraform. We're going to find the provider for Azure, specifically for the key vault. We're going to uncomment the code that I started last time. Maybe it's just terraform.io.docs and I've confused it. All right, good. Yeah, I just confused it. Docs providers, and we want the Azure provider. So I repeat things a lot for get in your head to get in your head. This is Azure in the cloud. This is Azure on-prem. I think I'm calling it Azure Stack Hub now. And then this is Active Directory or Azure Active Directory, not to be confused with Exchange Active Directory. They are indeed different things. Thank you, marketing. Into Azure, I say that as somebody who's worked in a marketing group and actually really enjoys good marketing. All right, so we want specifically, this would be storage resource. Is it a storage resource? Azure storage. Well, we do need the storage account. So let's create the storage account. So let's create a separate module just for our storage account. So we're going to just copy our key vault module so it can be reused. And let's just go ahead and we'll start with main and work our way back. And we'll copy it again. And we'll paste it again. Good. There we go. All right. So we're going to give storage account. We'll give it a... Yeah, we're going to send in a name. So this would be var storage account name. Wait, let me check my variables. I want to keep this in line with my other variables types that I use. Prefix. Okay, I use dashes. And we're going to want that as a variable anyway. Already there. All right. Nope. I'm in the wrong one. Storage count. Close others. Oh no, we want to keep that. We don't want to close that. Okay, so our storage count. No, I can't. I don't think that's allowed. I don't think I can. No, we're going to call it Kiva storage. Are those? I have to remember my. So I try to keep the same everywhere. Yes, when I name them, I use a dash. All right. The storage account. This is where I want the var variable. And we want the resource group. So we'll grab the name and the location from the resource group. Good. And I believe that I have to use a standard for this. Let's look at the replication types. All right. Locally redundant, zone redundant, geo redundant, read access geo redundant. Okay. Hot, cool. For our purposes, and because it costs money, we're just going to go with local redundant storage. There are better ways of doing that. And we don't need any tags here. So we have a storage account now. We're going to need a storage account for our key vault. So that needs to be an output variable. I'll look at one of my other outputs, just for example, output nodes. I do a lot of like copy paste just because I like to try to keep the same formats that I use everywhere. And since I write so many of these for so many different clients with other ideas of how they should look, I have to always refresh myself. No, that's variables. So let's go ahead and undo that one. And then I did want to give it pass it a name, right? Storage account name. All right, good. Did I do it like that? Ask you, but you can't talk to me. Let's do it like that then. Variables, variables, storage account name. Name to give the storage account. And then we need output. And the output will be our storage account. And that will be in the main. It'll be Azure Store dot storage account. And remember, I'm always using Terraform 12, 11. You have to do string interpolation and all of that fun stuff. I do not. So storage count looks good. Name, output, good. So that's thing one. We have our storage account. We're going to need key vault module. So one of the variables is going to have to be, well, let's go look at the key vault here. Key vault resources. Azure Key Vault. Perfect. Disclaimers. All right, good to know. So, note, it's possible to define Key Vault access policies both within the Azure RM underscore Key Vault or underscore Key underscore Vault resource via the access underscore policy block and by using the Azure RM underscore Key underscore Vault underscore access underscore policy resource. However, it's not possible to use both methods to manage access policies within Key Vault since there'll be conflicts. All right. Good to know. Terraform will automatically recover a soft deleted key vault during creation if one is found. You can opt out by using the features within the provider block. So we're going to need a resource group. I'm not seeing. We see a tenant. So we'll need the resource group. We'll need a tenant ID. Why would we need a storage account? If it's assuming a storage account, not this one. This one. Storage account create. Oh, I don't see the storage count. I guess we'll figure out where we use that later. Let's take a look. Kubernetes, Key Vault, KMS, socket. I'm not seeing the storage account. Oh, I bet there's a naming thing that connects them. Let's look at the names it gave it. Storage account, KV name, KV name, KV name. Yep, that's it. Oh, had I read the instructions in the same resource, make sure the name used for the key vault and the storage account is the same. Awesome. Okay, good. That's what I get for skimming. All right, so we'll have to make sure that we give them both the same name. That's not a big deal. Good to know. Which we already did the storage account name. Awesome. See, I wasn't even thinking it through, and I was thinking it through. Well, sort of. And we already have a service principal. We'll need the service principal as well. Okay. Right. Set policy. Create crypto get list. SPN client ID. All right, good. So we'll need the service principal. We'll need the service principal. Let's look at this. So I'll need the tenant ID and the service principal object ID. Will I need, and that's the tenant where we're creating that. Oh, I don't think I want to use this. I want the service principal that's being created specifically for Kubernetes. So let's make sure we actually have that as part of our main. I'm like 90% sure we do. Resource groups, nodes. Oh, maybe we don't. No. Did I never actually set up? I don't think I did. Huh, interesting. So it does not appear I set up the Cloud Control Manager as part of the setup here. Do I have a service principal module? I might have actually built one and not used it. Load balancer, resource group. Oh yeah, I do have a service principal module. Now this all looks way familiar. Let's do a search. Oh, I built it and never used it. Some of you who have more recently watched my earlier episodes probably know why, and you're thinking that's because you couldn't get it working, dummy. You're probably right. All right, that's okay. We'll create that too. Where is my show notes? So we're gonna log into Azure. We're gonna automate the creation of the service principal. Which also means we're gonna have to automate the configuration of the Cloud Controller Manager. Oh, this is gonna be fun. All right, service principal, Cloud Controller Manager, Key Vault, storage account, and then Key Vault. All right. Use for later. Check the RKP provider. Automate the Key Vault. Reconfigure the RKP cluster to use the KMS plugin. Perfect. All right. We may or may not have our work cut out for us. I'm not exactly sure yet. We'll see. All right. So we already did a variable for that for service principal, which we don't have yet. So we are going to rewind a little bit. Let's just close everything to the right. That Key Vault module is not being used yet, which is good. At all. Let me make sure the storage account module is at least done from a Dunzo perspective. I'll put good. That looks good. And then we'll have to create one for the service principal. Did I change? I didn't change anything there, did I? It says 3 changes. No idea what it did. It must have did something with my spaces or something. Don't mind the constant drinking. I'm just trying to keep from coughing. I still have the same cough I've had since, well, basically started with KubeCon. Then I got better for a couple weeks. Then I got the flu. Then I got better for a couple weeks. And I just had this nagging cough. Thank you, Mid-Atlantic region winter. It's been a weird winter. Not as much snow. I don't mind that, though. I don't like the shovel. So, service principal. I'm just looking through this to see if this makes sense. So we're creating an application. Ooh, these are old school. Look, you could... I built these before I went to Terraform 12. Okay. That's easy enough. Or no. No, those are right. Those should be string interpolated. What am I thinking? That looks good. Service principal looks good. Resource group looks good. Contributor looks good. Service principal password. I don't like that because that will cause it to refresh every time. Right? Yeah. All right, random string. Does use random generator. Oh, look at this. I didn't. The things you learn. All right. I bet random password also won't push out the logs. Good. Good. Provide special keepers. New ID to be generated. Arbitrary map of values that when changed would trigger a new ID to be generated. Oh, that's actually really helpful. The things we learn. So random password requires random provider. That's fine. Yay! It's smart. That makes me so happy. Good. All right. Then we'll actually pass in a password. Oh, that just made my day. So we'll also, as part of this, we'll fix the passwords. So those are steps. I don't want to worry about those from where we are. I want to look at stuff to fix. I could have sworn I looked for that in an earlier version and it wasn't there. Maybe I have no idea when it came, how long it's been around. Okay, whatevs. All right, so we have our random password. So let's fix that first. So we're gonna fix our random string with random password. And we're going to do our storage principal stuff. So I'm going to have that passed as a variable. All right, description, password. Password for the Azure AD storage, not storage, service principal. Good. And then we will fix this. End date, ID. What do I call it? How about just password? Good. Excuse me. All right, so no more random string. That'll prevent it from recreating every time. At least I think it will. We'll find out. Application name, service principal, role as contributor. That's all consistent with the Azure. Oh, let's scope it. Oh, I did scope it. Good. Thinking ahead. Try to scope. So, least privilege, you want to scope the service principal as small as possible. And in this case, it's the resource group. Since we're going to use it for an Azure, or not, we're going to use it for the Cloud Controller Manager. Good thing. I'm going to turn up my heater's about right. Like a little warm, a little cold. Not sure yet what I want to do with that. We'll keep the sleeves, but open her up. All right. All right, so we have the service principal module. It gets a password now that we'll pass in. So let's create the service principal for the clusters. So we'll go down to our root main, and let's create our service principals right away. Well, it'll be after each resource group. So service principals. So module, we're going to use our service principal module. And we're going to grab the source for that, which is here. Principal module, good. And then we should have how many variables? Did we have 3 or 2? Resource group ID, application name, password. Oh, it's smart. Good. So the resource group ID for, I want the Rancher service principal. I'll have 2 of them. So this will be the Rancher resource group. And I'm betting that Rancher resource group has an output, because I use it actually, let's go find it. Yeah. Module, resource group. .id. Application name, we're just going to call it Rancher Cloud CCM Cloud Control Manager Principal. And the password, we're going to randomly generate passwords. So that's the random password provider. Oh, it was in here. I looked at it. I don't know if there are any special characters that matter. Let's see, we'll call that Rancher Service Principal. 16 true. What does special mean? It doesn't tell me what special means. Resource. Oh, let's go to the random provider. Keepers. All right. Random provider is randomness. Only when they are created, the results proposed are in the source reuse. Okay. Resources all provide a map argument called keepers. Can be populated with arbitrary key value pairs that should be selected such that they remain the same until new random values are desired. Okay. Resource keeper optional. Other arguments resource must also remain consistent in order to retain a random result. Good. Okay. So I don't think we have to worry about special. And then we'll do it. 16 is fine. I'm not going to be overly picky about that. There. And then we're just going to copy these things for our other one, for our Kubernetes group, for our child cluster. Let's call it Kate's. And Kate's. And Kate's. And Kate's. And Kate's here. All right, so we should now have 2 service principals, as long as I didn't type anything wrong. I'm sure I did. And then let's go back to our notes. Read our service principles. So done. In progress. And then this is also in progress because we haven't confirmed that it actually works yet. Maybe we'll have a cluster now. Oh no. Sigh. Something went awry. Is that all that went awry? Let's find out. Yeah. All right. I don't usually have problems with this, so let's see what's going on. All right, so let's see what the interface worker. Oh, Nick, cattle drive rancher. Failure sending request. Worker is trying to use NAT rule. Already used by the network interface. Association. I wonder if I have half-made resources. Okay. I didn't check to see if I had a... Yeah. I bet I was already using this resource group for something else. And we're just gonna... Is it data? Yes. Yes. It is yes. Okay. And then let's do this with CalDrive Kates. And we'll just give them slightly different names. I'll go into my variables. I'll pull this off screen just in case there is something in there that is sensitive. Into my variables file. Worker count. Yep, yep, yep. That looks good. That looks good. Oh, here it is. Resource group name. Yeah, vars. Yeah, I'll just change it here. Cattle Drive Rancher 2 and Cattle Drive Kates 2. Grrr. Wow. I am a very smart man. Sometimes just... I have a checklist of things that I check. This will be added to the checklist of things that I check that I'm not already using the resource group for something else. Sigh. Let's sigh. Alright, so let's get rid of the output file, the state file, the Terraform provider file, the cluster config, if there is such a thing, and the state lock file. And yeah, there should be most of those things not in there, which is fine. Good. Good, 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 good. And since I changed my variables around, we'll just replan and rerun. Actually, this is actually a good time to test. Let's do the other one while we're here. We can do them both at the same time. We have the storage count. We can do the key value pair. Good. Yeah, let's just do it this way. Let's do them both at once. All right. I mean, not the worst mistake I've ever made. Resource group, key vault. There probably will be an output there, but I don't need it yet. Caffeine 1 gone. Oh, we're already at, is it already noon? That's too bad. All right. We'll get this written. We'll run a test, see how bad it fails, come fix it next time. So there's my key vault. could do this stuff all day. I love automating all the things. I really do. So resource, soft delete, purge protection. We don't care about all those things. SKU is standard. We'll add them in anyway. Why not? Actually, purge protection enable, false, SKU name is standard. What else we got in here? And we can set the access policy up right here if we want. Let's go ahead and do it. We won't use that key vault access policy block. We'll put it right in here. So we're going to use this tenant. We're going to pass in the service principal ID. Like I said. And let's see, I think there was an ACL example. Set policy, key permissions, create, decrypt, encrypt, get list. Create, decrypt, encrypt, get list. Create, encrypt, decrypt, get, and list. I don't know if we'll... I don't see any other permissions that I need. We're just going to remove these and see how bad it breaks. And we're not using it for disk encryption. And I don't see any ACLs here, so... Alright. Somebody a tenant ID... Resource group, tenant ID, service principal ID. One of these days I'll be able to get through these without every word being wrong, but that's just kind of who I am. Oh well. Okay, service principal ID. The Azure ADSP for the key vault that has access to the key vault. I bet down on the provider config, vault name, key name. Okay. Oh, it will need a name. It will have to be the same name as what we passed into the storage account. Azure key vault. All right. So I think we have our dependencies, right? That's in progress. In progress. Yeah. We'll figure out the control manager later. That'll be the next thing we do. But we'll do that in the next episode. Let's go ahead. We have our service principals. Let's create our storage manager. Rancher. Storage count. Source. called Azure Storage Account Module. And then its variables are resource group name, storage account name. Okay. Did I use the name or did I use the whole thing? Main. No, I used the whole thing. Resource group and storage account name. Resource group. So I want the Rancher resource group. Module. Now, what is it called? Rancher resource group. One word, 2 words. 2 words. And then I want the storage account name. Do I have variables? I don't have a variables. I'll do that later. We'll just make sure. So we're hard coding. Don't do this in production. Rancher key vault. All right, so we have that. And then we'll just case key vault, which is storage count. And then we want our every time. I tell you, every time. And then we want one for our key vaults. Key vaults to encrypt. Crypt. etcd. So it's this. So not a storage account. Rancher key vault. Again with the bad typing. And then it's the Azure key vault module. And then it has a resource group. Vault name, resource group, tenant ID, service principal. All right. Tenant ID, service principal, resource group, vault name. Tenant ID, service principal, resource group, vault name. Tenant ID, resource group, vault name. Tenant ID. Make sure I get the tenant. Subnet. Let's find out where I use it. Here. That's it right there. Vault name, it has the Rancher key vault. Key vault. And it was a storage principal ID or the full storage principal? I think it was storage principal ID. Variables, storage principal ID. No, this main. All right, this main. So I want the Rancher module. No, not storage. Service principal. Is that what I called it? Module. This one. which means I'll have to have the service principal out of it, or at least the object ID. God, did I create outputs? Hang on a second. Application ID secret. Oh, okay. Output. All right. Description, object ID. ID of the created service principal, and then the value will be Azure. All right, let's go look at the service principal. Azure AD.service principal. Okay, so this one, and let's look that one up. This is from the Azure AD service principal, and I just want to make sure I get the object ID. That's what I want. It's .id. Okay. So I have service principal ID. Or no, I'm spitting out the ID. I am. I don't want the whole service principal. I don't think I need the whole service principal. I do need the ID though. All right, good. Key vault here. And we'll do the one for Rancher for the managed server as well. Gates. Ooh, Rancher server. Gates. And Gates. All right. Okay, that's fine. We'll see if all this. What didn't you like? Oh, we need more. We need new modules. This just tells us if our syntax is correct. We'll actually try to create probably next episode, only because time. What did we spell wrong? Service principal ID. Oh, probably did. So this is in the Azure Key Vault. All right, service principal dash ID variables. Oh, I need that. No, I don't. Not there. Key vault. Service principal variables. Service principal dash ID. Yeah, that's exactly what it. See, it's smart. I love the context sensitive error messages. More human readable for sure. See, I don't even have to make up my own background music. You have it now. At least I'm assuming you have it. Unsupported argument. Purge. Oh. What else? Soft delete enable is not expected here. I'm going to assume I'm just holding it wrong, and I'm going to remove these things that I don't think I need. and try it again. My phone is blowing up. Why is my phone blowing up? Yes, please. Sorry. Wife is texting me. That's alright. Yes, please. Spicy. All right. All right, cool. Let's give this a look-see, shall we? Unsupported storage account. Resource group. Key vault module. Does not have an attribute name location. I bet it does. Resource group location, resource group name. What am I passing in? Resource group. It should have a location and name. Let's check our main. Key vault, resource group. Oh, I'm sending the module in. That is not helpful. So module.resource group. I think it's called resource group. Yeah, not helpful. Yeah, it's called resource group. Good. So I'm gonna need it here, 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 and here. Wonder if that was the things I deleted earlier were cascading errors from that. Oh well, I don't know what those attributes are yet. So, and I mean, purge protection. I want things to delete when I tell them to delete. I know it's like a safety thing, but I just want them to delete.
We're gonna start with breaking.
And we'll see how this goes. We'll make sure we check in our code also before we leave for the day. Can only consist of letters and numbers. Okay. Terraform. Random password. Letters and numbers. There's got to be a rubric for that. They use cryptographic. Oh, password.password.result. All right. Password is vault, service principal, random password, yep, dot result. So I have to set that up to only use certain specific characters. It would really help to have like what the attributes are of this resource. And my doorbell is ringing. Of course my doorbell is ringing. All right, I'm going to do some research here because I don't see anything else, but we will continue this on in the next episode. Thank you for joining me today on the RanchCast. I will make sure this gets checked in prior to posting to YouTube. You all have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.